That's right. If it's 3, I'll read you 3. If it's 8, I'll read you 8. If it's 800, I'll stay here for 1,000 years. As long as it takes. This is my promise to you. Okay? Okay. So, first of all, I've got to get you snug as a bug in a rug, right? Okay. So, let's get you all bundled up. Bundled up like a burrito. Okay. How's that? A little tighter. Alright, let's tuck, 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 tuck. And even get your feet in there. Perfect. Good. Good. And then, who's it gonna be tonight? Daddy or Peggy? Peggy. I thought so. It is a Thursday after all. Gotta give her belly 1, 2, 3 rubs for good luck and sweet dreams. And then we give her head 1, 2, 3 pats so you can make a wish. It'll come true. Okay. Here's Peggy. And then I do have one little surprise for you because you were just so very good today. I got you a new toy. I know how much you've been loving to squish things lately, so I got you this wobble full of sparkles. I think you're gonna have a grand old time with this. It's the wobble ball you can't put down. Tiny wobble full of sparkles. It's the new squishy, squashy, tiny wobble ball filled with colorful sparkles. Squeeze it, stretch it, toss it. Once you pick it up, you won't want to let it go. So cool. Well, I guess you'll have to be the judge of that, won't you? Here it is. The magnificent tiny wobble. Doesn't that look pretty? Once you squeeze it, it gets real sparkly, huh? What do you think? Do you like it? Fair enough. Gotta get your hands on it. Fun, right? Such a pretty color. So I thought that would be a nice, soothing, sleepy time thing for you to do. Squish, squish, squish. While I read to you. Can I get you anything else? Anything to drink? Your mom said you've been drinking chamomile lately. Very elegant. Alright, just let me know. So, what do you think? Do any of these catch your eye for a first up? Wise choice, Madeline. I love the drawings in this one. Isn't that pretty? Got the Eiffel Tower and all the little ladies. Okay. In an old house in Paris that was covered with vines lived 12 little girls in 2 straight lines. In 2 straight lines they broke their bread and brushed their teeth and went to bed. They smiled at the good and frowned at the bad, and sometimes they were very sad. They left the house at 9:30 in 2 straight lines. In rain or shine. The smallest one was Madeline. She was not afraid of mice. She loved winter, snow, and ice. To the tiger in the zoo, Madeline just said, "Pooh, pooh." And nobody knew so well how to frighten Miss Clavel. In the middle of one night, Miss Clavel turned on her light and said, "Something is not right." Little Madeline sat in bed, cried and cried. Her eyes were red, and soon after Dr. Cone rushed out to the phone. And he dialed Danton 106. "Nurse," he said, "it's an appendix." Everybody had to cry. Not a single eye was dry. Madeline was in his arm, in a blanket, safe and warm. In a car with a red light, they drove out into the night. Madeline woke in 2 hours in a room filled with flowers. Madeline soon ate and drank. On her bed there was a crank, and a crack on the ceiling that had a habit of sometimes looking like a rabbit. Outside were birds, trees, and sky, and so 10 days passed quickly by. One nice morning, Miss Clavel said, "Isn't this a fine day to visit Madeline?" Visitors from 2 to 4 read a sign outside her door, tiptoeing with solemn face, with some flowers and a vase. In they walked, and then said, "Ah," when they saw the toys and candy and the dollhouse from Papa. But the biggest surprise by far, on her stomach was a scar. "Goodbye," they said, "we'll come again." And the little girls left in the rain. They went home and broke their bread, brushed their teeth, and went to bed. In the middle of the night, Miss Clavel turned on the light and said, "Something is not right," and afraid of a disaster, Miss Clavel ran fast and faster. And she said, "Please, children, do tell me what is troubling you." And all the little girls cried, "Boo-hoo, we want to have our appendix out too." "Good night, little girls. Thank the Lord you are well. Now go to sleep," said Miss Clavel. And she turned out the light and closed the door. And that's all there is. There isn't any more. The Big Orange Spot, one of my personal favorites. There's Mr. Plumbean inside his big orange house with the big orange spot. Let's see however that could have happened. Mr. Plumbean lived on a street where all the houses were the same. He liked it that way. So did everybody else on Mr. Plumbean's street. "This is a neat street," they would say. Then one day, a seagull flew over Mr. Plumbean's house. He was carrying a can of bright orange paint. No one knows why. And he dropped the can, and no one knows why, right over Mr. Plumbean's house. It made a big orange spot on Mr. Plumbean's house. "Oh, too bad," everybody said. Mr. "I suppose I will," said Mr. Plumbean. But he didn't paint his house right away. He looked at the big orange spot for a long time. Then he went about his business. The neighbors got tired of seeing that big orange spot. Someone said, "Mr. Plumbean, we wish you'd get around to painting your house." "Okay," said Mr. Plumbean. He got some blue paint and some white paint, and that night he got busy. He painted at night because it was cooler. When the paint was gone, the roof was blue, the walls were white, and the big orange spot was still there. Then he got some more paint. He got red paint, yellow paint, green paint, and purple paint. In the morning, the other people on the street came out of their houses. Their houses were all the same. But Mr. Plumbean's house was like a rainbow. It was like a jungle. It was like an explosion. There was the big orange spot, and there were little orange spots, and there were stripes. There were pictures of elephants and lions and pretty girls and steam shovels. The people said, "Plumbean has popped his cork, flipped his wig, blown his stack, and dropped his stopper." They went away muttering. That day, Mr. Plumbean bought carpenter's tools. That night, he built a tower on top of his roof, and he painted a clock on the tower. The next day, people said, "Plumbean has gushed his mush, lost his marbles, and slipped his hawser." They decided they would pretend not to notice. That very night, Mr. Plumbean got a truck full of green things. He planted palm trees, baobabs, thorn bushes, onions, and frangipani. In the morning, he bought a hammock and an alligator. When the other people came out of their houses, they saw Mr. Plumbean swinging in a hammock between two palm trees. They saw an alligator lying in the grass. Mr. Plumbean was drinking lemonade. "Plumbean has gone too far. This used to be a neat street. Plumbean, what have you done to your house?" the people shouted. "My house is me, and I am it. My house is where I like to be, and it looks like all my dreams," Mr. Plumbean said. The people went away. They asked the man who lived next door to Mr. Plumbean to go and have a talk with him. Tell him that we all liked it here before he changed his house. Tell him that his house has to be the same as ours so we can have a neat street. The man went to see Mr. Plumbean that evening. They sat under the palm trees, drinking lemonade and talking all night long. Early the next morning, the man went out to get lumber and rope and nails and paint. When the people came out of their houses, they saw a red and yellow ship next door to the house of Mr. Plumbean. "What have you done to your house?" they shouted at the man. "My house is me, and I am it. My house is where I like to be, and it looks like all my dreams," said the man, who had always loved ships. "He's just like Plumbean," the people said. "He's got bees in his bonnet, bats in his belfry, and knots in his noodle." Then, one by one, they went to see Mr. Plumbean late at night. They would sit under the palm trees and drink lemonade and talk about their dreams. And whenever anybody visited Mr. Plumbean's house, the very next day, that person would set about changing his own house to fit his dreams. So we've got a hot air balloon house in blue and red with 1, 2, 3, 4 windows. This extravagant palace in pink and yellow. A castle the sculpture on top. And there they are, the whole street. Whenever a stranger came to the street of Mr. Plumbean and his neighbors, the stranger would say, "This is not a neat street." Then all the people would say, "Our street is us, and we are it. Our street is where we like to be, and it looks like all our dreams." And there's Mr. Plumbean's house at nighttime, because that's when the magic would happen, when the neighbors would come one by one to talk to him and be inspired. What do you think? Did you like that one? Yeah, I thought it was pretty sweet. If you were to go talk to Mr. Plumbean one night and decide that you wanted to make your house look like your dreams, do you know what you would want it to look like? A big cake. That's a marvelous idea. What kind of cake? Wise choice. Alright, what do you think is next? Red is best. Yes, let's do it. Red is best. My mom doesn't understand about red. I like my red stockings the best. My mom says, "Wear these. Your white stockings look good with that dress." But I can jump higher in my red stockings. I like my red stockings the best. I like my red jacket the best. My mom says, "You need to wear your blue jacket. It's too cold out for your red jacket." But how can I be Red Riding Hood in my blue jacket? I like my red jacket the best. I like my red boots the best. My mom says, "You can't wear your red boots in the snow. They're just for rainy weather." But my red boots take bigger steps. I like my red boots the best. I like my red mitts the best. My mom says, "Your brown mitts are warmer. Your red mitts have holes in them." But my red mitts make better snowballs. I like my red mitts the best. I like my red pajamas the best. My mom says, "Your yellow pajamas will keep you warm when you kick off your blankets." But my red pajamas keep the monsters away when I'm sleeping. I like my red pajamas the best. I like the red cup the best. My mom says, "Oh, Callie, what difference does it make? I already poured your juice in the green cup." But juice tastes better in the red cup. I like the red cup best. I like my red barrettes the best. My mom says, "You wear pink barrettes with a pink dress." But my red barrettes make my hair laugh. I like my red barrettes the best. I like red paint the best. My mom says, "But Kelly, there is hardly any red paint left. Maybe you could use orange instead." But red paint puts singing in my head. I like the red paint best. I like red because red is best. And there she is with red painting after painting after painting and all her favorite red items. What's your favorite color? Do you have one? Mine was red when I was little because of this book. I think Blueberry Land. Early one morning, Peter went into the forest. He was carrying 2 baskets, one for red cranberries and one for blue blueberries. It was his mother's birthday, and they were going to be a surprise present for her. But where were the berries? Peter could not find a single berry. Deeper and deeper he went into the forest, until at last he sat down on a tree stump and burst into tears. Suddenly he felt a light tap on his shoe. "Cheer up, Peter," said a voice. There was a tiny old man, no bigger than an apple. "I'm the king of Blueberry Land, and I'll show you where they grow." Peter was so surprised that he didn't know what to say. A second time, the old man tapped him lightly on the shoe with his tiny blue wand, and Peter was as small as he was. The heather seemed to grow in great bushes, the grasses tall as spears, and the wildflowers big as crowns. Peter's baskets were now too big for him to carry, and so the Blueberry King whistled up 2 squirrels. In a flash, they swung the baskets onto their backs and bounded away. Soon they were walking under ferns like huge palm trees, and Peter could hardly believe how different and interesting it all looked. There was an acorn, big as a helmet, and there was a spider. Peter was not sure if he was glad to see him, although the spider tried to look friendly. "Here we are," said the Blueberry King cheerfully when they reached a little wood full of fruit trees. "Look," said Peter excitedly, "blue apples." "Don't be silly," said the king, laughing. "They're blueberries, but come and meet my sons." 7 boys were playing ball with the berries, and they came running up to meet Peter. Their clothes were splashed with the dark blue juice. "Peter has come looking for blueberries," said the king. "Let's see how quickly we can fill his basket." The boys scrambled up the trees, laughing and tasting the ripe berries as they tossed them down. Peter tasted some of the berries too. As soon as his basket was filled to the brim, the boys gathered round him shouting, "Now it's time to play. Come on, Peter." They let Peter steer their bark boat as they slipped through the cool green water, past dragonflies and lily pads, their leaf sails swelling gently in the breeze. Peter forgot all about berry picking until one of his new friends said, "We'll be late for Miss Cranberry. She's waiting for us with some fruit for you. Hurry up, Peter." Quickly, they beached their boat. They combed their hair, cleaned their teeth, and washed their hands, which were still blue with the sticky juice. 8 brown mice were waiting for them under the blueberry trees. Away they galloped, through sunlight and shade, over springy thyme and sweet moss. Peter had hardly time to catch his breath when they reached a little clearing. In the middle was a cottage made of cranberry twigs. Outside in the sun sat Mrs. Cranberry and her 5 daughters, polishing berries. The shiniest and reddest fruit they put in a pot to cook with honey. "Peter," shouted the girls when they saw him. "Mind you pick those berries carefully," warned Mrs. Cranberry, who could be sharp at times, but the girls were already gathering the fruit. 2 curious ladybirds came to watch, so the girls sang, lady bird, fly away home" to them. When Peter's basket was as full as it could be, they all had time to play. They took turns on the spider's web swing, and when a cricket started up a song, 3 of the girls joined in on the chorus. Then Mrs. Cranberry rang the dinner bell, and all sorts of other guests, yellow butterflies, ants, and bees, hurried back with the children. Everyone ate the delicious, juicy red cranberries and honey until they were full. Peter could only manage 2. But now it was time to go, and Peter said "thank you" to Mrs. Cranberry and goodbye to her daughters. His The basket was now so full that everyone had to load it onto a wagon. Then they harnessed the mice, and away they flew, although not as fast as before. They raced past 2 snails who went green with envy, wishing they could travel so fast. The Blueberry King was waiting for them when they arrived home. "Take Peter back to where we first met," he ordered the mice. "Oh, don't go yet," cried the Blueberry Boys, and Peter begged their father to let him stay for just one more game. The king smiled and shook his head. "It's getting late, and your mother will be worried. Perhaps you will come and visit us another day." "Goodbye," shouted everyone as Peter climbed into the wagon. "Come back soon." Suddenly, Peter stopped with a jerk. He was back on his tree stump, and there was no sign of the Blueberry King, or his sons, or even the whisker of one of his mice. "I must have been dreaming," said Peter to himself. He looked down, and there at his feet were 2 baskets, both neatly filled, one with cranberries and one with blueberries. So it had all been true. When he got home, he drew a birthday card for his mother. His big sister helped him a little with the spelling. Here it is. He picked these flowers for his mother too, and put them round the baskets of berries. His mother was very pleased and said it was one of the nicest presents she had ever had. "But where did you find all those berries?" she asked. But Peter smiled and shook his head. It was a secret between him and the King of Blue.